Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ready Steady Play, where we have literally just finished murdering my friend Michael.
I'm now resurrected.
We've brought him back for the final thoughts to talk about what we thought of this game. And how... Okay, Michael might have given a spoiler about his final thoughts in the finale, so if you haven't joined us for the series, do check out our full gameplay series on the channel. But now I can reveal to you, Michael, this board here as well. So that's fun. You can see all of the things as they took place and what happened.
Big reveal!
A big reveal of this...
nightmarish mess.
So you gave a bit of a spoiler at the end of the finale, Michael, which was that he didn't particularly enjoy the game.
I think that's a bit... That's
subjective.
More, yeah, exactly.
It's not Michael's kind of game.
It's not... That's not to say that the game's not very good, or that it's...
this is my follow-up question. You didn't enjoy it, subjectively.
Yeah.
So, two-part question. Part one, objectively, do you think... Or rather, that's not a good way to ask it. Let me ask you it this way. Do you think if you'd been on the evil team, you would have enjoyed it?
Yes.
Yeah? You think you would have liked this role?
Yes, because I feel, even though that you... Because part of the rules is that they can't communicate with each other. Too effectively. But I feel that the way that you two were playing it didn't feel like it was a hindrance at all. And so I feel like I would have been able to take part as... Because I prefer playing as...
I feel like that might have been due to, in part, to the efficacy of our execution. What I mean is that there might have been a lot of missed opportunities that we don't even know about because we never saw each other's cards.
Maybe, but it just didn't feel like... Because we were comparing things... a different game that we played where Ollie and I...
Shadow Tactics on the channel.
Where Ollie and I found it very difficult to communicate with each other without giving too much away. And I feel that this... I wouldn't have struggled half as much knowing how it plays compared to how Shadow Tactics played.
I agree. It felt a lot easier being on the side with Mike, where effectively all I couldn't do was show him my cards or tell him exactly. What I was going to do.
Mm-hmm. And I felt, then that's why I feel I would have enjoyed being that more, because I genuinely like being part of a team anyway. I feel like, not that I get carried, but I feel less pressure. And this is why I did not like this game for me. It's just personally, I do not like... It felt incredibly isolated. And some people get a buzz off that, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to beat them all on my own, and things like that. I just don't enjoy it. If I'm playing a game with people, I want to feel like I'm included and everyone is enjoying a part of an experience. And this just then didn't feel fun to me.
You felt alone.
I genuinely felt alone, which adds to the theme of it, because then if you're looking at it as objectively as did the game hit its target, like one of its
head-on bullseye,
then it actually worked very well.
But I feel like the thing is, as the evil player, you can't really become too bogged down with optimizing stuff. And I feel like this might have had a bigger impact on you than you realize, because even there was a moment in the game where Michael became quite focused on figuring out what we thought he could do.
Yes. And
I feel like the same thing that got you there would get you as an evil player, because you've got a handful of cards that you can't show to anyone and get any feedback on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But maybe that would liberate you.
But then you could say, oh, I would like to do this card. I thought at times you were saying, oh, I'd like to do this. Mm-hmm. And you can sort of like get around that by pointing at the board. And then by saying I would like to do this, it sort of like implies what your card is.
No, I don't think you didn't actually... You probably didn't know this because you couldn't see what we were doing. Yeah. But we weren't indicating at all the card effects on this board.
Yeah. No.
We were not saying... We were playing the cards first and then going, now I'm going to do this. So, for example, I wouldn't say to Ollie, I'm going to move a monster.
No.
Or I'm going to play a card... I wouldn't say to Ollie, I would like to play this card, it will do this. No. What I would do is I would play the card first and then sort of say, well, now I can move a monster. This one there?
Yeah.
You know? But it doesn't mean that Ollie might not have had a better card in hand that he can now not play.
Yeah. And there were times when we were both like, I have a card I want to play. Do you want to play your card more?
Yeah.
And that's the best indication we can get.
And that's what is very reminiscent of Shadow Tactics.
Yeah, that's very reminiscent of Shadow Tactics.
Yeah. And the thing is, the triggers are quite... Some of them are oddly specific.
But
the triggers are very, very
But
particular.
I
and it's
feel-
very easy to get into a situation where you're trapped because you haven't been paying attention. You're trapped with like monsters on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
Because I was very movement rich in the opening part of the game, so I had a lot of cards that moved monsters around. And then as we progressed into the second half of the game, where those cards were really critical, I no longer had them, and that was just to do with the shuffle of the deck.
yeah.
And so we found ourselves in a situation where actually you were talking about how you were worried about this room full of monsters,
We had
but we
one
had
thing
all the
in there.
monsters over here protecting this blue room, and we couldn't do anything with them because we can't spawn more monsters in there. There's a limit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we have to actually now move these monsters all the way across this board to catch you there.
Yeah.
Because originally the plan was to block both of your primary objectives because we didn't know which one you'd go for.
Yeah.
Well, we were pretty sure you were going to go to this one.
Yeah, because it's the more annoying one.
Yeah. To get to.
And where did I start?
Well, you started here, and then you went up here, and then you went along there, and then you went in here, and then you went up around here.
Yeah.
And then back down. So,
I feel you put... Maybe because you put the blue one so far away.
but there was a point where you were only 3 steps away on, like, turn 2.
But because you put a monster on that steps, that's like put me off going there.
That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Because if you went here, then you're only 1 away from the objective room.
Or 2 away from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very close to this one as well, yeah. So I was like, oh, let's try and put him off going this way as much as possible. And they worked, because you wandered off over here. No, but what I mean is the game really does hang in the balance like that, you know, because if you had decided to go this way, it's entirely possible that one decision was the game breaker. Because it does sort of hang in the balance like that. You know, it really is hanging on a dime, because you don't know the struggles going on behind the screen.
Yeah.
You know, and Ollie and I are very good at projecting confidence when everything's going tits up.
I didn't
Basically,
like it.
we can lie really well.
Well, I like the premise a lot. I don't particularly like. I like the premise of the sort of the space sort of horror thing. I really like the labyrinth and the way it comes apart and comes back together.
Yeah.
I really like that manifestation. What I don't especially like is there doesn't seem to be enough going on between the evil players.
It's funny because, I mean, to a large degree, it felt like we were playing 2 turns of a game as... Like, we're allies in the sense that all of your pieces are my pieces, but there's no opportunity for actual real strategy other than I've got a thing that I want to play, and then after you've played it, I try and get the inkling of what you were going on for. And for the most part, we just agreed with what each... Like, if it was my card, and I said, I want to play this, for the most part, we just agreed with whatever the other person was saying.
Well, and I think that's very telling about the way we play, because we were basically like, you've got all your information, I've got all mine, and when we made a decision, we were just like, well, you've got the information,
we
do
didn't,
that.
We didn't second guess each other because we just assumed that the person holding the card who's had time to read it knows the best way for that to work.
Yeah, and I don't think you can do it any other way.
No, but it loses a bit of interaction because it means that if I'm doing something and I've just misunderstood a card, or there's a few I played face down where later on I thought, oh, I really wasted that. And it's, considering it's a co-op game, there's no catch for that because of the way we're not allowed to reveal it, which is a bit strange. For like
I don't know
game.
if maybe we were over communicating too much, but having said that, there were elements where I really did think that it could have gone either way. You know, so I don't feel like we made it.
I think you thought you were giving me too much information when I don't think you were. And that's just because you have the information at hand. And maybe you would have played it differently, and that's all part of player skill.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the unique selling point of the game is that it's a group of enemies versus one hero, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on with a group of enemies, really. You know, it's like this is the unique selling point of the game, is that it's the one versus many mechanic, but sort of the concept is inverted.
Yeah, it's the
and
all
yet
versus the one.
It doesn't seem to really... There's a huge amount of mechanics going on in the game in terms of leveling up your character, crafting items, finding items, you know. It's got all of these different adrenaline tokens and health trackers and nightmare modes.
There is so much to try and remember.
So many mechanics going on, and yet the mechanic for having one evil player versus two evil players is you each have a different deck of cards. And so on your own, you have 2 to 1, and you just draw from 2. And then if you add another player, they take over one deck, and you have to have one each. And if there's a third player, they have a third deck that they do, and it's just them. And I just feel like there was a lot more opportunity to develop the interaction between the evil players.
Yeah, the fact that you're restricted to a single deck does kind of define how you play as a paired evil team, because it's you try and pick complementary things to do, but your deck is built around one idea, which really limits what you can do. Like there was
but if I'm being real, I don't think I ever really stopped to think about what your deck did.
No, but there were cards I had that I just could not play for the conditions, and I about partway through the game we realised there were a lot of multiples of some of the cards, which was surprising because some of them seemed really, really good compared to the others.
Yeah, there were cards that were the same, but then they had different like danger text. Well, they had the same effects, but they were just kind of turned around.
I had straight up duplicates.
Like these ones are quite similar, but not quite the same, right? Yours plays off this sort of scare tactic more often than not.
Yeah.
I found that mechanic actually very difficult to trigger. But maybe that's because you were very cautious. I don't know.
You were exploring a lot, and if you've explored, especially when you're going, I'm going to do all of these, none of the creatures there will scare you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like because you were doing a lot of exploring, it almost wasn't worth trying to lie in wait to surprise you. It was better to just sort of attack you and kill you that way.
But it's because... And the reason I was doing that is because you were being really cautious with reaction, and I'm like, you have all of these danger tokens. So if I'm being surprised, I also then I'm going to get hit a lot more because you have the bonus on the dice. So that's why you sort of like made me cautious because of how many of these you were getting each round. So you sort of like in sort of like reaction made me play like that.
Yeah.
Or felt like I had to play like that. Yeah. Because then I was really cautious that if I was too reckless, then I'd die straight away.
No, it's possible.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of weapons at the start.
Oh, you have basically none. You have to find them.
Yeah.
I still love the fact the model comes with a pistol, and as far as we can tell, you're punching something.
Yeah, you never had a pistol. Oh, you had tracer bullets.
It's tracer bullets, but it seems weird that the model comes with, here's the pistol, but you have no ammo to start with.
I think some of these, I don't, like you say, maybe I didn't use this to its full effectiveness. But
you didn't use it once.
I did, I used it once. And
oh no, you did use it once.
And it was north.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't even give you your bonus when you did the green room. Weren't you supposed to draw another one of those cards?
Yes!
Oh, you forgot to do that, buddy.
I would have totally taken the health.
Oh, no.
Well, you get to draw 2 and pick one, right?
Yeah.
So you might not have had it.
But I would have the captain would have made me miss. I wouldn't. I felt like I couldn't upgrade. Like knowing my luck, it would have been the upgrade.
And I've literally just grokked that right now, and I think that is a thing about. There's a lot
to remember.
A lot to remember, and
there's so much text on these cards.
There's a lot of text and a lot of stuff to remember, and oftentimes it's like do this thing, but then also do it slightly differently. You know, like for example, the final mission where it was like, and then you can have 5 enemies on the same level.
Yeah.
And just remembering those little differences and those little tweaks while maintaining all of the admin of this board and sort of checking all of these cards and their triggering effects, it's an awful lot to remember. And I think that it's not an issue in a full co-op. It's not an issue even maybe in a, a 1v1 where there are very clear triggering windows. But in a one versus many where there's a limited communication as well, it almost seems like a bit too much.
The thing is as well,
it seems like it really opens it up to making mistakes, and in this format, that's the worst possible time to make mistakes.
But I feel like it's aggravated by the fact if there's some information that we should both be constantly reminding each other of, and there's some information that we absolutely under no circumstances are able to mention, and that alone puts a spanner in the works.
Yeah, and it may have been exacerbated by the board setup here, but I honestly don't. I don't think it was exacerbated a lot. I think it's a huge amount of
it's a lot to remember. But
admin business to remember.
I think it's made worse by the fact of it's separating in your mind the stuff you have to keep a secret from your ally, from the stuff that you should constantly be going, oh, and don't forget this. Because
Well, that's exactly right. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to remember what you can and can't say. You've got to work very hard to parse information.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much to remember. You want to be reminding people
yeah.
of stuff.
But the thing is, as well, even the monster limit, it's very hard for me to be, if I notice it and go, oh, we can't do that because that's too many,
Yeah.
then there's a hint that floor is full of monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that's a difficult thing to remind you, and that's information we both share. But
Yeah.
how do I convey reminding you of that?
Yeah,
Without
and I
just
think
giving it away.
you just have to do it, don't you?
Yeah, and it's
You just have to do it as best you can.
I don't think there's a way around that either.
I think the dice is very even in this. I think that's one of its good
Yeah.
things, actually. That
Yeah,
you've
the
got-
combat feels very fair.
Yeah. And also the light on helps the hero. The danger token helps the evil player. And I feel like that's very... It doesn't feel like I'm rolling this and like, oh good lord, I'm never going to get hit.
Yeah, the fact that you're half a chance on a dice to hit, and I mean, I like the light mechanic. There is most of the really mutated stuff get fewer attacks or none.
Oh yeah, I felt I was on the cusp of doing okay. I think if I'd had a tiny bit, if I'd done things differently and then been slightly luckier with the dice, then I felt like I could have instigated myself in that room, and then what I would have done is just searched and killed, searched and killed, and I would have sort of like got myself a bit of a what's the word? Sort of like
Build up some steam.
conveyor belt, for the want of a better term, going. Because I would have been able to kill you all, and thinking about it, I was probably a little bit closer than what I thought.
You were very close. Don't undersell that. You were very close, and you clawed it right the way back. Because at the start of the game, you were just hemorrhaging wounds.
I was.
But I think the real question of importance here now is: would you play it again? Would you buy it?
Would you play it again if you could play as the evil?
I would probably prefer to play it again as the evil. But yeah, so dilemma. Now that I know that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, I would probably like to give it a go to see if I could do it. But knowing that now, knowing how I don't like how that stressed me out so much, it's almost like, you know, when you do something and you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad, I'd do it again, and then when you start doing it again, you're like, why the hell am I doing this
Again.
Yeah,
I know that feeling very well.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. So it's almost like 50-50. I want to do it again because I feel I could do it, but when I start doing it again, I know I hate it.
So when's the Resident Evil 2 extra playthrough happening?
Yeah, when's the next Resident Evil 2 live stream?
But would I buy this? No. Would I play it?
It's quite expensive. I think it's something like 60 or 70 British pounds.
Definitely not. For me, I would spend £70 on something totally different. But would I play it with someone who brought it to the table and said, I would really like to play this, and would you mind being the hero, because I would prefer to do this? I would still say yes to both.
Right.
Interesting.
Good to know.
Because if
Grudge
my
match.
friend wanted to play it and I like my friend, then I would do that.
If you didn't like your friend, you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Would
What
you?
about you, Ollie?
I would like to give it a go playing as the hero, actually, having played the villain. I think it would be very fun, I think, because it's almost like an RPG, and those parts of it appeal to me quite heavily. And I like... I mean, I know a bit about what kind of cards can come up, so I know some of the ways you can be screwed around. But
Well, there's 2 old decks you haven't seen.
I know. But I feel like it'd be fun to try it, and at the very least, I'd be recreating every Alien-esque horror movie / video game I've ever played, watched, or, you know, had in a nightmarish form.
Well-
Very much spaceshipy.
But would you buy it?
Probably. If I knew I had a friend circle I could play it with, but it would be one of those games where I'm like, guys, it's going to take us X amount of hours to learn it.
Yeah, I
Are
mean-
you willing to put the effort in?
And I think that's what puts me off it the most is there's so much going on. There's 3 rule books. I dread the idea of having to teach this.
I think it's easier to learn the villain's role.
See, I don't know, yeah, but I don't think you should play the villain the first time because this is so much admin work. and
Yeah.
it's critically important.
Maybe.
And I think it's because you're very involved in the game. You're not really focused on this. This is not where the action is. This is not where your focus or your attention is.
That's fair.
You know, and then having to put your attention here on this admin-y stuff, you're kind of taking it off what's really important here.
Yeah.
You know, because you're playing like a whole nother game here. That's not just following processes, but playing cards and moving things around. You know, like when you've got whole things that happen on this board that you don't see over here. You know, and that's not process, that's gameplay. Well, I would not want to play this again as the villain. I didn't think it was a particularly interesting role.
Right.
I thought it was a lot of admin that you had to remember to do, and then you were sort of it was difficult because it was half admin and half gameplay. You know, so there's a lot of stuff I have to remember to do here because it's process driven, and a lot of stuff I have to remember to do here because that's where I'm actually playing the game, right? And then the other thing is that I think that the hero is a much more interesting role, and only one person gets to do it.
Yeah.
Fair.
But then you say interesting, and I think stressful.
Yeah, but I mean that's.
But you're right. This is where the excitement is,
That's where the excitement
because
is. Yeah.
I have all the unknowns.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with that.
So I think that there's probably not enough going on here because
To keep it interesting.
well, we had to entertain ourselves by trolling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
And you can't. You're right. So it's not. It's almost like you can't even have any interesting conversations about what you're going to do because you have a limited communication.
Yeah. So really, all we can do is interact directly with you rather than one another. Because every time we try to interact, we're pretty much just giving information away.
Yeah.
You know, and
So you wouldn't buy it then?
I think that I think at its price point, I think you'd have to be absolutely certain you'd have a group that was very keen to play it, would play it, you know, and would actually make the effort to learn it all and learn it very well.
Right.
You know, I think it's very demanding and very niche.
Fair
It is
enough.
very demanding. 100% agree.
Fair enough.
That is
Having
why-
said that, I thought it was a very interesting experience, and I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to trying it again with you guys. But as a game to recommend to people, I would not. You
Fair
know,
enough then.
but it is unique. I don't know. I mean, I say unique. It's got some unique elements to it. But quite frankly, I would have rather played Claustrophobia if there was just two of us. I would have rather play Fury of Dracula if we wanted to do a one versus many kind of thing.
Trains.
Trains. I actually would have rather play Hard City, which got much less funding than this.
Yeah.
But that I liked that because it was punchy and it was fast. You know,
Yeah.
it was sort of soda pop.
Yeah.
You know,
But is it punchy and fast? It might be punchier and faster if there's a different hero playing.
Maybe. We'd have to play it again to find out.
yeah, but I mean, and your level of AP aside, it's all the cards, it's all the text, it's all of the admin work. It's a huge amount of stuff to realize a concept that's not really delivered on.
Yeah.
Having said that, the models are quite nice, and the artwork on the board is nice. The theme is realized very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I
Agreed.
can't
The art is very good.
deny that. The models are good.
They scare me.
Yeah.
Then, objective achieved.
Give us a kiss.
No!
Yeah, that's going to haunt his nightmares for about a month.
So true.
All right, guys, I hope this has
Yeah.
given you some insight into Alone and how it works and whether it's for you and your table and your people. There is a second Kickstarter going on at the moment, so if you have looked at this and thought, I want to give that a try, or I could do better than these three people,
These three idiots.
I could do better than these idiots. So you go and check it out on Kickstarter. And leave a comment below. Let us know what you think of Alone and what you, if you've got it, and whether you enjoy it.
See us next time.
And come join us tomorrow for a completely different kind of adventure, possibly.
Maybe in space, maybe under the sea, maybe underground, maybe in an abandoned facility.
In the mists of time.
We really don't know.
Maybe not with me, because I'll be like locked in a room being told to do better. I'm kidding.
Would he be in a straitjacket and it would be a padded room? Is this like his way of saying he's going to melt? and
We'll
break
return
down?
him to the asylum after the cameras
That's
are
it.
off.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's day release for me.
Bye!
Bye.